The Member of Parliament for MANHYIA South, Nana J. Balfour wide in Anuatu, John MAHAMA, and CJ Tokono, and Semnimo. Now, a chena dream a far, say, Adia MAHAMA Ayano, and answer, and yet say, enam ne quinso, and answer, enam ne quinso, or a lawyer, also a MP, into Yanko, Nana drink tra or the two jar. No yankoni enkotino embrasisia play.
Yes, means that you've practiced in the courts of Ghana for a long time, and or Parliament as a member of Parliament. Sisia and Ayate. In fact, the breaking news not to just say Omampenia set up a committee to inquire into petitions. Ninsa Ekaya, a prima facie has already been established, and all cast a pursuant to committee, Ejuma Mobile Bayano, and was a Chief Justice in Ejuma, Etuana Otanan Chain Kakra, pending committee in Ejuma, a procedure on our first one. Oh
my, Michiawati for. Na merahui mekase merahua mera awo enye sebia sebe mi musi misinkano uni se mi obia ewu yami ye I started taking interest in the politics of this country at a very early age. Sebe, even though na minimity, nanso mi hunyema bia ekoso ewo Ghana ha. Ana yeba democracy nanso no, me hunyema bia akoso. Enti etodo bi na nyema bi kwaso a na me kasa se manyoni. Me kasa ni bi sabi Ghana ni a watna Ghana memu ehu Ghana man na bontin eri ni fie so etinie ma bi wo a nanka menya nanka amanesa nanso sabi wo hye constitution na it make provision for the removal of the Chief Justice. It is sabi untini kase se nipa no chinchina wayo boni a na yipema yanchina so anase mrano provision said yegu what say dealing with the hair no him no untimi kase nie mane ye adwuma. It's a banisa na se wadwene o say oh if there is merit in what the president is even doing, right, you wish it had not happened. It's the mechanism. I wish this whole thing had not happened. Assuming that if the Chief Justice had done something, I wish she had not done it. Assuming that if she hasn't done anything, assuming that if that is even the case, then we will not be where we are today. That is how I mean so yeah, on my Obi, it's difficult to say they are also between the politics every home. Say assemble na chimna mosquito ya fire papa chimna mosquito on kaye na wasini bose NDC for the Chief Justice nyama politicians again say enunti e was say e bia wa accuse judges ana say bibi no minia who say e ketwa bi e go judges ni dwumadi a wo die wo court so I say enunti ya na yenuma sabi a practice wo court no yebenya nanka amanyo sem every judges no wo dwumadi ni nenso sabi enam constitution na sani yesisi ahihye no nti poda bia eyesa enyeye so the neighbor bia ya be question you na me bisa question no ne fatin ni ya ejina article 1416 ho any article 296 any article 23 of the constitution so article 14610 now. The can say, our president in them say, Omo establish the Council of State or the Council of State establish a prima facie case now. Our president is some say on the advice of the
Council of State.
Omo to me a suspended Chief Justice.
Sure.
And these are
sure.
Where the use for May,
yes.
May and so a discretion.
Yes.
A chess to me swore ye, and also to me say on ye.
Yes.
Good. Article 296 of the 1992 Constitution. So, I'm reading it. The exercise of discretionary power. 296. The exercise of discretionary power. Econo Nyansa Bakwa a woman say will be exercised discretionary power. That discretionary power not. The whole exercise here. It was a exercise no. A choir sabi. And I said, Oshada also say, Ube acting in a manner that is fair and candid. So what I say, now send you there, you know who say, oh, acting in a manner which is fair and candid, no. There must be a regulation. So what I say, in Tushesina was where the person or authority is not a judge or other judicial officer. Just a NIPA or exercising discretionary power. No. So when you judge and answer on your judicial officer, there shall be published by constitutional instrument or statutory instrument regulations that are not inconsistent to the provisions of this constitution or that other law to govern the exercise of the discretionary power. Maybe your president or a judge.
Dabi.
Your president or judicial officer.
Dabi.
I will say, sir, to me now or exercise, there should be a regulation that should guide it. Is there a regulation that is guiding it?
Yeah, but Article 146, this will not be the first time the head of an independent constitutional body be go through. And if former presidents were not minded to put in place our regulations now, why do you blame this one for it?
Former constitution, it doesn't make an exemption. Constitution, say obi a breach constitution, that will be a challenge here. It doesn't make it right. Say, assume there is no immunity for the breach of the constitution. So the constitution is being breached. This suspension, in the absence of a regulation, breaches the constitution. Sabi, see breaching on it doesn't make it right today. So the suspension of the Chief Justice, right, to begin with, in the absence of a regulation or a law to guide the power of the president to suspend the Chief Justice under Article 296, under Article 14610, is a breach of the Constitution. Secondly, what went into the suspension, right, was it done in a manner which is fair and candid? How are we supposed to know? Because the thing, right, is in camera. It is the more reason why there ought to be a regulation for the performance of that duty. So what I say, the fact that it is in camera, no, it is the more reason why it cannot be done in the absence of a regulation, a published regulation, which informs Ghanaians that this is the procedure by which a Chief Justice may be suspended by the President. These are the grounds upon which he might be suspended. what you say.
Yeah, but
now,
296 okay na lawyer. Unse enono ye the exercise of discretionary power generally. When you come to 14610, specifically when it comes to the CJ, actually what should happen in suspending the CJ, and it says the president on the advice of the Council of State may. If the president has gotten the advice from the Council of State, which is a requirement, now the president is minded to want to go ahead with a suspension until especially when it comes to CJ. Yes. Yes.
Does it cease to be the exercise of discretionary power simply because he's receiving advice from the Council of State?
No. But there is an express mention.
Tobo. This is constitutional interpretation.
Sure.
Tobo.
Sure.
Okay. 296 right? Does it say subject to 14610?
No.
Does it say that?
No.
Does it? So it doesn't make exclusion for the president's exercise of power under 14610. So what I say, you see, it is talking. The only exception in here is the exercise of discretionary power by the judiciary or by a judge or a judicial officer.
Yes.
So if it was making an exception for the president under 14610, it would have said subject to 14610. Go through the constitution. You see, constitutional interpretation, there must be harmony among the various parts of the constitution.
Yes.
So yes. And so go through the constitution. Wherever an exception is created, it does so, right? By either stating so expressly or stating subject to. Which means that it would have created an exception under 296. Just because you are receiving the advice of the Council of State doesn't mean that you are exempted, right, from the exercise of the regulation that guides the exercise of discretionary power under 296. The more reason why you are not even exempted from it. Don't forget that under Article 123 of the Constitution, justice, right, emanates from the people, right, and it is administered for and on behalf of the people by the judiciary. And the Chief Justice, she's not there for herself. She's there for the people of Ghana. And so when you are doing a process in camera, then all of a sudden you say you have suspended their Chief Justice. The Chief Justice is the Chief Justice of the people and not the president. And so he's gotten it wrong. There ought to be a regulation so that the people know ahead of time that this is the circumstance under which our Chief Justice may be suspended under Article 14610. Where is it? Now you have suspended the people's Chief Justice. You have suspended the people's Chief Justice. While the Chief Justice is appointed, approved by Parliament, he is no longer the nominee of the President. He is now the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, the people's Chief Justice. Now this whole process, Parliament is even not involved. You and I know that under the Constitution and indeed the Interpretations Act, when power is vested in a person, right, that person has also the power to disappoint. And so it should go through the same process. Now, Parliament is not even part of this process. The existence of the regulation would have made Parliament part of it indirectly. Now, there's no regulation. You say you have suspended the Chief Justice. It is an unconstitutionality.
Would you... Okay, instead you made a point earlier. In the case of Loretta Lamte, we know Charlotte Osaidiano, she was not suspended. She went through the process while still being chairperson of the commission. Loretta Lamte, she was made to step aside. But you made a point, say, if the constitution is breached, then it doesn't mean it should be breached now.